everyone, as you saw in the thumbnail and the intro to this, I am doing a special kind of craft project today. So with the temperatures finally getting down into freezing, and after getting our last electric bill, and after seeing while I was editing one of the cleaning videos for a living room, found out, guess what? There was light coming through underneath my living room door, which means there's cold air coming in through my living room door. So I decided to do something completely crazy and take these, which are my husband's old work hoodies, and I'm going to turn them into a project of something to block off the cold air at my doorways. Now I'm going to do 2 of them for the back door to go between the screen door and the other door to see if that kind of helps a little bit as well, because there's a huge gap there. And then I'm going to put some just around the house in different places, and if this works out really well, I may also get some for like in front of the kids' closet doors at night whenever they don't really need it to be open, and also that may be a little bit cooler in their closets, because you know, closets don't have well, our closets don't have vents in them. But I'm really looking forward to trying this and bringing you guys along. I've never done this before, completely experimental. Let's get to it. So the thought behind this is pretty simple. A lot of you have seen, especially like in older homes, like the little snakes that go in front of the doorways. The thought behind this was these were hoodies that have long seen their days of usefulness. Like if you actually looked on here at the bottom where my husband's tool belt would have been while he worked a construction job, the pocket, I have actually sewn this pocket multiple times, reattached it. It's pretty much lost its usefulness. So this sweater was destined for the trash anyways, but instead of throwing it away, we're just going to turn it into a snake to go onto the door. Now, if when I finish stuffing it and all that, it's not long enough, then my plan is to take more of the scrap material from this hoodie to make it longer. And the other thing is, I'm going to be taking material from the hoodie itself to stuff this with, so that I don't have to like go out and buy stuffing or anything. I'm using what I have at home to just kind of close off some of those airways and make our home a little bit warmer on a tighter budget. So I'm going to start with cutting these off. Then I could use my machine, but again, because these were also work hoodies, I would rather not put something that was in a construction job into my sewing machine. So I'm actually going to be hand stitching these. I'm just going to whip stitch them closed. I'll probably whip stitch the reverse side on the side where I'm going to start filling it, and then whip stitch the outside of it whenever I finish. But let me put the camera down and start getting these sleeves cut out. I just made an executive decision on was his hoodies. He always bought a little bit bigger so that they would go over like layers of clothes when he was working outside, especially. They were a little bit bigger on the arm than I really needed, and they weren't quite long enough. So what I did was I didn't quite cut it in half because I left the wrist part intact. What I'm going to do is completely sew this side completely closed, and that's going to end up being the side that I start stuffing. And again, like, I'm not really going for making this look pretty. I want it to be practical so that my house is warm. So I'm gonna just it's gonna take longer now to do this project because I'm doing this and trying not to use my machine to do it, but I'm gonna stitch all the way up this side, and then once that's finished, I'm gonna stitch this side closed, and then I'm going to piece these two together. I may wait to stitch this side closed so that I can fit these inside each other and stitch them together, and then I will have one long piece that will 100% definitely fit in front of my door. Then I can start working on stuffing them. me a little bit longer than I wanted to do this, but again, like, I chose to hand stitch it and chose to add that extra step to it. And also, like, it's winter time and it's an at-home day, so I'm fine just taking time to hand stitch it. So I'm going to turn this right side out. Again, like, I'm not even really doing a tutorial, but I am doing a tutorial. I want to show you guys how I did this. When you go to stitch something together, make sure, you know, same sides are or the wrong sides are facing out on both. Like, tuck it in like that, so when you flip it, it looks like that. And I mean, that's not perfectly lined up like I wanted it to be, but that's okay. But again, I'm not making something to be pretty. I want it to be messy and dirty because it's something that's going to be in the floor. It's going to get kicked around, and that way if something happens to it, it's not going to be like, oh no, I invested all this time. No, it's fine. I'm fine with it being something that looks rough, and something, as long as it's something that works to keep the cold air from coming in under my front door and my back door. So I probably am only going to get one done today, and that's okay, and I'll show you what the one looks like. I did find this hole right here, so I am going to stitch up that hole a little bit, and then I will show you what I'm going to do for the next step. Alright, hole fixed. Step 2, well, not fixed, it's stitched closed. Step 2, one of the things about the socks that you can kind of buy to go in front of a door, I think, I've just always heard them door socks, door snakes, something like that, is they're not very heavy, so they can very easily be like moved around and stuff, and they don't always like stay exactly where you want them to. So my solution to this problem is we have this bin right here that has rocks in it from Dollar Tree. So I could take some of these rocks from Dollar Tree and kind of just like not fill the entire thing, because again, I want it to absorb. So to absorb, it's going to need a little bit of like fabric inside of it. So what I'm going to do is like piece a little bit at a time, like take some of the scrap, like here, I have scrap right here from the actual sewing project, stuff it in, and then as I go, also be like, hey, let's add a couple rocks in there for weight, and then kind of like just alternate it as we go, and that way when we finish it, we'll have weight to it and have the stuffing in it. So I don't actually have stuffing because again, my goal was to make something that was completely from scratch. So what I'm going to be doing is taking the rest of the hoodie, cutting it up into pieces that I can just stuff into here and use that as my stuffing. And if I run out, then I'm going to ask my husband if I can use some of his rag shirts that we're not even using right now. This part honestly kind of hurts my soul a little bit because I've restitched this pocket on here so many times. So after cutting up the entire hoodie, this is what's left of it. This is the first sleeve, that's the second sleeve under it. So it didn't quite fill up because I made it longer than I was originally anticipating, but what I can do is go and see if he has any old work shirts that he doesn't want to keep anymore and finish this off. And I think like one shirt would probably finish this off. And here is what it looks like as full as I am going to get it, and then I'm going to shake it around a little bit afterwards on a table that also has school supplies from today on it. I do need to put more rocks in here. It's just laying it down that we're going to fall out. So I am going to put more in, cap it off, and then we will be finished. If I just absolutely later just change my mind, hate the way it looks, we actually have a knitting machine, and I'm pretty sure that we could just use this to stuff the piece for the knitting machine, and then it's still being used. So yeah, we can also try that out.